Daesh of that city. There's a lack of medical supplies, resulting in many challenges that they had to deal with. Daesh took over the hospital in March 2015 and looted and trashed the hospital. And basically, it's a common strategy of Daesh in villages, towns, and cities in which they occupy, that they keep the civilians in those areas and stop them from leaving. They're basically kept under a kind of house arrest. So Daesh have not allowed civilians to seek medical attention except in the most extreme of cases. There's 20 surrounding clinics in Sirte, but they're privately funded and they have no support from either of the governments or administrations in Libya. Some examples of the fallout on the population is on Seham Badri, who died in childbirth because her and her husband had to drive 300 kilometers to the nearest health clinic that was had the adequate facilities for childbirth. She suffered internal bleeding and died hours later. In the Wadi Jarif hospital, it lost its staff after the center's doctor, Dr. Majdi Subi, was assassinated in 2014. The Abu Hadi Health Center is ready to open, but staff are needed and equipment is needed to open up the department dealing with obstetrics and gynecology. So I'm just listing some of the problems that the people of Sirte are having to contend with. There's a long list of urgent medical supplies and medicines that alrassed International has compiled in its research and its fact-finding mission to Sirte. There's acute fuel shortage throughout Libya, including Sirte and the surrounding region, which obviously negatively impacts access to health clinics and medical facilities, because if you know anything about Libya, everyone has a car, everyone is dependent on cars and vehicles to get around and to access these things. Obviously, Daesh brings its own particularly vicious and depraved framework and modus operandi to the people it under its control. And similarly so for the people of Sirte. So December the 4th in 2015, Daesh, quote unquote, showed off in Sirte 85 children under the age of 16, which they call their cubs, ready for terrorist missions, quote unquote, suicide missions, etc. So this gives you an indication of the amount of psychological trauma that's happening as well to the people of Sirte. That 85 of their children have been not recruited but forced. This is quite clearly child abuse that's going on quite a mass level by Daesh there. In March 2016, alrassed International organized a fact-finding mission in the outskirts of Sirte. They managed to help, with the help and assistance of residents, facilitate the medical treatment of 91 children. Now, since Daesh has been occupying Sirte, obviously there's a problem of internally displaced persons as a fallout. The council in Bani Walid has done its best to assist the internal refugees from Sirte. So many thousands have become resident and exile in Bani Walid. So families that have entered Bani Walid from the date of the 1st of May 2016 to the 15th of August 2016 have reached a number of nearly 8,000 people. And the number of children under 16 has reached 4.1 thousand children. The hospital in Bani Walid obviously is under great strain, and because of the problem of housing these IDPs, internally displaced persons, 13 schools have opened up their facilities to literally accommodate these people. Hatem Adawajir, the executive director of Al Salam charity, expected more from the United Nations And he impressed upon alrassed International to convey that the United Nations needs to have an ongoing, permanent plan of support and action. Now, the Tripoli administration or government in Libya conducted an operation ostensibly to contend with Daesh's occupation of Sirte, known as Al-Bunyan al-Marsus operation. Now, there was some militias involved in this operation were found guilty of looting and kidnapping in Wadi Jaref, particularly for a young man called Musba al-Sunusi. When the residents complained to the Tripoli administration, they responded that there's rogue elements within this operation and that they're to blame. This is unfortunately a common reoccurring issue in Libya since 2011, with so-called rogue elements conducting different crimes against the civilian population. On the 4th of July 2016, reportedly 50 people's homes in the Abu Ghraib area have been looted, burnt and destroyed. And when these residents complained to the police station, but on the 16th of July of this year, the police station was bombed, which resulted in the deaths of 11 colleagues within that police station. So maybe that was a response to the complaints of the residents, but whatever the case is, now there is no police for these people to go to. So I just wanted to give you some indication as to the depth of the crisis in Sirte, which is repeated in other parts of Libya, but obviously we're focusing on Sirte. Sirte, the residents of Sirte have seen no support, no assistance from any regional or international body to come to their support. And it's this that we're trying to focus your attention on today. So next I'm going to ask you to welcome Dr. Najat Al-Samawi, who has more than 35 years of experience in international health, holistic health work, particularly focused on her work on Iraq, which has very similar conditions of its people when it comes to health, as does Libya. So please welcome Dr. Al-Samawi to the event.
Yes, we are here to highlight what's going on in Libya, which is Libya was once really helping the world, the whole world. Libya was involved, helping African, helping the neighborhood, the Arab neighborhood, helping also even Iraq. Iraq, which is one of the really most richest country in the world. Once I saw on TV, Libyan did participate and sent aid and sent money to the Iraqi. When the bridge of Al-Aina being hit or bombed by the terrorists, so killed so many hundreds of people, Libyan did their part and participated in this as well, and we thank that very much. And same as Libya now, it's in a position which is similar to what's going on in Iraq, which I have this experience of helping the Iraqis through my alternative medicine, complementary medicine. I must say something to the people who maybe they don't know me. I am Najat Al-Samawi, based in the UK for over 45 years. Also, my first charity was Meals on Wheels, also help the elderly to improve my English in that time, which is I'm talking about the 70s. Then I start to work with the Arab Women's Council, which was the first Arab Council in London, run by the chairwoman was Dr. Al-Said, late Dr. Al-Said, which she was the daughter-in-law of Nouri Said, which he was the Iraqi, one of those founder of New Iraq, 1921. And also we were working under the ownership of the Arab ambassador's wife for over 40 years. So I had my training with her. I was setting up Al-Hassaniya, which is the Moroccan Women Project, which is now in Ladybrook Grove in Portobello, which is very useful to most of the Arab women in Britain, refugees or so. Also, I give a lot of charity speech and lectures to fundraise and raise some money for the Palestine, for the right to live, and for the Egyptian organization, Welcome to London, and same as with the Libyan as well. Through my work with my study, the alternative medicine and the complementary medicine here in Britain, I thought it's better maybe if I start my own charity after I saw what I saw in Iraq. I am a lady which I'm not involved in politics. I'm not treating anybody as he is Sunni or Shia or Muslim or Christian or whatever. So I take my part and set up my charity foundation, which is UK Holistic Health Foundation for Iraqis in need. Is because of the lack of medicine, because of the lack of the safety, because of the lack of electricity and water and everything. And what's going on in Libya now is exactly maybe similar. I don't say worse because Iraq is even worse than before. Now Iraq also is still, after 14 years, is still suffering, the people is suffering. At least during the previous regime, I used to visit Iraq every year, 3-4 times a year. I know it was dictatorship or whatever they called it, but it was safe, it was something which I cannot imagine is going to happen like this. So now I cannot go. I've been invited by the Ministry of Health twice or 3 times. Once I participate with cancer, the natural approach for cancer in Basra, South Iraq, with the Minister of Health himself. But still the situation in Libya is similar. That's why I'm telling, through my show, the Libyan, I was invited to Libya so many times to appear on the Libyan TV actually, to speak about the natural products, to speak about the natural diet, natural, and give training also. And I have seen so many of the Libyans. I'm talking about Libya during the embargo as well. I'm not talking about Libya now, or I'm not talking about Libya before. I saw a lot of cases, which is a lot, over 3, 4, 5, 600 people there, suffering from a lot health issue. What is it mainly actually? It was also immunity issues, autism for the children, diabetes, also skin disorders like eczema or psoriasis, also scleroderma diseases, also, I mean, so many cases as far as especially cancer, especially breast cancer, especially so many. I was really giving them and treating them naturally by my natural supplementation. And I have seen a lot of Libyan patients here privately in London since I've been established my clinic, which is in the 1992. And I can say definitely, I'm sure, is getting worse. Worse in somehow, I'm sure, after every war, after every disaster, even a war disaster or health disaster or earthquake or anything like tsunami, we have to face some crisis. And we have to deal, my idea here to say, not necessarily we have to depend on medicine. Medicine is very important, especially during the emergency. We need the medicine. Now my colleagues, my friend in Libya, doctors in Libya, which I am connected with them, telling me exactly what they need, exactly what I tell them what to replace for the time being till they get the medicine they need. Medicine is very important and sometimes it saves lives actually. Like for example, they need the oxygen, they need medicine they need even the incubators actually for the kids. They need something to boost their immune system, also to boost their mood, because everybody living in fear there. Everybody is living in fear. He was telling the gentleman, my colleagues here, about the lady which was giving birth before the time. Imagine how many of those cases really happening. Maybe this one was announced, but maybe so many, which no access to any media to cover it or to speak about it. We know, I mean, after any war, especially when we have this, what they call themselves Daesh or whatever, I mean, something terrorist coming to to the country and destroy everything, destroy the good and the bad. They don't realize they are destroying lives. And you know the shock which can happen after any disaster like this. It's going to last for years and years and years. When I speak to the people in Iraq about, because as I said, my foundation, I done now for over maybe 30 trips to Iraq. During the previous regime, maybe 15 trips, and after the change, I done, could be 5 or 6. 2 of them were announced, the other were just to see my family and do my charity work without telling people where I am. And I must say, I mean, the shock when I have consultation with the people, I can see fear from bombing the city, fear from the war, fear because she lost her husband, she lost her brother, she lost her son, or maybe she has somebody which he is disabled living in the house because he lost maybe one of his parts of the body in the war, in the terrorist attack. So it is really very, 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 very dirty, I say. Very dirty, very dirty. But what we can say? What can we say? I mean, we cannot change. We cannot change the whole world. We wish we can make it safer. But how can we? But at least we have to live in a situation like this by providing the medicine my colleagues they need. My doctors in Libya, they ask, which is written in the report, the name of the medicine as well, what they need, especially the oxygen and the incubators and the antibiotics. Actually, they need more, which is, this is what we need, where is the disaster. But also, I must really ask the government or ask the people in charge to set up something as natural, which educate the people on TV about the diet, about what to do during a time like this, what to drink, what type of herbs you, especially Libya. Libya is very green country, rich with a lot of herbs, with a lot of goodies. I mean, I remember in the late 70s when I was on TV once, I was planning to buy something to show it on TV. Everything organic, everything is organic. The smell of the cucumber, the smell of the orange, it's really orange. It really is not GM food. It's not genetic modified food. It's real food. So I can treat people with this. I can treat people with the genetic, with the organic food. I can treat people with the herbs they have. And also, what I found, maybe I can introduce, as I did with the Iraq, I can introduce the flower remedies. Flower remedies, actually, it is very safe. It can be taken by the baby and the pregnant woman as well, and same as with the elderly. This one is created by Dr. Edward Bach, which he based near Oxford in the 30s, actually. This one is contains some flowers. What he discovered, Dr. Edward, long, 8 years ago, he discovered whatever we have as a physical illness, it is in our mind. Let's treat the mind, he said. And he created about 38 kind of flowers to treat his patient. Now it's become very popular, very safe, and it can go with anybody. And it can go with the people who they are frightened. This is what my experience in Iraq. It can give to the child, it can give to the pregnant woman, it can give to the people the person who is frightened. Oh, today there is no bombing, but maybe tomorrow I'm going to face terrorist attack. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to be hit by this and that. So it will give him confidence, it will treat his mind and make him strong and make him confident. And also the herbs and also the other stuff as well. So this is my let's say wish. I wish we can apply this in Libya, in Syria, in Yemen, in any countries, even in the European countries, where they are also suffering from the terrorists as well. We cannot forget France, we cannot forget Belgium, we cannot forget Turkey as well. I mean, terrorists is everywhere. I mean, war and killing, it's a madness war, we call it, madness war. But we cannot go away, and this is our world. We have to live in it. We have to make adjustment. We have to live in a how can we change it? We are people not involved in politics. We are not people who would like, if we fight back. No. So we have to live in it. We have to eat right. This is the way I see it with my patient in Iraq. Now over 25 years working with the Iraqis, I can say there is a positive result, could be 95% result of. So this is what I wish, beside the medicine, which I think the Libyan need. I am really in touch, mostly like daily, with the people, with the doctors in Libya. I am so sorry, and they've been sorry to tell me they cannot attend because of the visa. They cannot get visa to come and be with us today. Is because of the situation. They cannot get visa as well. And also they asked me to speak on their behalf how much they need this kind of medicine, which is not my part, because now I'm not a doctor in medicine, I'm not a medical doctor, I am a doctor in complementary medicine. Working together, complementary medicine with medicine as well, complementary stuff. This is the idea was announced and addressed by the Prince of Wales, which is in the 30s actually, in the 80s, sorry, 35 years ago, when he addressed that, which he is our godfather now, I mean the alternative practitioner I am, he is calling for putting things together. And he was really amazing at that time when he mentioned, like, during any situation, now what we face in Libya or what we face around the world, we can put things together. We cannot just depend on medicine. Sometimes we cannot get it for some reason. We cannot get it. But still is very important, is very value, especially with the Libyan. They need the antibiotic, they need the oxygen, they need the incubators, they need as well as a lot of, how many items? I think is over 10, how many items?
I think so, around 20.
Around 20 items they put, and they ask the world to get it for them. We're going to try our best to get it, but on the same time, I have now a project which I announced through my charity foundation, which is UK Holistic Health Foundation for Iraqis in Need. Me, myself, and 12 Iraqi MDs, medical doctors, specialists, we ask the world to get us 12 items of natural products which can treat people with, especially malnutrition, especially anemic children, especially elderly as well, and same as with the flower remedies, same as with a lot of things which we can do a lot with. I'm not here to promote my staff, but this is, I feel, is very useful to the Libyan, especially the Libyan. They were born and raised in a land which is full of goodies, full of herbs, full of food, natural food, and in the same time they need the electricity to come back, they need the clean water, they need the food, they need the medicine, but I believe also they're going to need the love between them. They're going to be together. They have to understand each other, accept each other, and do it together.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for making it today here. I know it is Saturday and it is a long day and everyone is busy doing something. You're relaxing after having a long Friday. But anyway, we thank you for making it, and I would like to also thank Dr. Najat for sharing her experience and sharing her vision as well with us today, and for Sakant, who has been our representative today and who has presented a very great speech. The situation in Sirte, in Libya as a whole, is quite devastating, and I think we are seeing very less happening to actually address the situation and finding a real long-term resolution or a long-term settlement for the crisis. At the beginning of 2015, we began monitoring the situation in Sirte, and we had a great number of appeals urgently requesting to help with certain situations mostly are in medical, or to condemn a certain violation like killing or kidnapping. Now, when we actually turn to Libya, when we turn to the UN secretary, or we turn to the UN SMAIL and other bodies, actually they find themselves quite tight when it comes especially to CERT, as it has been in great conflict since 2011. Now again, the people or the organizations have left the country since 2014. So we don't see a lot of presence from organizations and aid organizations in Libya as a whole. We issued our statement on the 2nd of February 2016, condemning the violations and asking governments and non-government bodies to take action in order to protect these innocent people and to address the conflict parties to stop indiscriminate firing and shelling that puts their lives at risk. Now, at a time when we see the many condemnations and the many disapprovals in different reactions and forms, I regret to say here that the CERT situation or the crisis of CERT has not been correctly dealt with. Now, the great suffering of CERT and its people implicitly suggests that there is a decision to leave them to their suffering or alone, and I think it's not. But it's either the organizations do not understand their situation, or the residents of the city are not shouting louder to be heard. Therefore, we felt obliged to do more for the people of the city, and we started a fact-finding mission in mid of 2016, and we had a lot of engagement, a lot of people who wanted to help from the city itself. We had around 13 doctors who gave us their interviews and the situation up there. They have listed a lot of medicines which they urgently requested and urgently needed. We had more than 6 statements from the health centers in the outskirts of CERT. Now, coming to the centers, I think these centers are essential and important and an alternative to provide healthcare service to residents. However, they are struggling now to cope with a large number of casualties and do not have the necessary supplies. So we have addressed a number of organizations. Again, for example, the Doctors Without Borders were willing to actually help, but we had, I think, an email from them on the 24th saying that they can't help anymore and they can't send or ship anything to CERT. Now, this was because one of their ships was attacked, if you heard of it or not. And now we are seeking and we are wanting a real resolution to actually at least send the urgently requested medications to these health centers. For instance, like how Sukant already mentioned Siham's story, the pregnant woman who traveled from a city in the outskirts of CERT and went to a city around 300 kilometers away and had to suffer and had labor pains, and unfortunately she did not make it. So such stories have happened every day, similar stories, either with emergency or either with such illnesses like the kidney illnesses and other mental health. Now, mental health is a great and big issue, again, that needs to be addressed. But now we want to know and we want to find a real strategy, a real operational plan, something that will stay for a long term, something that will say to the residents and to show solidarity for them, and with them to say that we are here, ready to help and ready to send these medications. I think the major problem until now, and we face as an organization, especially now even our representatives who had to shift from Sirte to Beni Walid because the clashes went too far, I think, and the war has escalated. Now they are seeking a road, a safe road to actually send some of the supports to the outskirts of Sirte. We thought again about shipping to Sirte from sea, by sea, and until now we're not having any response from the government. And the only government that we have addressed and sent emails to, and we also tried to phone, was the Tripoli government. However, until now we have not heard anything. We want a real solution, something that will stay for a long term. If you have the report in front of you, some of the medications that we have listed starts from page 11 to page 12, and this was kindly done by the Khalifa Abu Shabour and Dr. Milad, who is our representative in Sirte. We also have a number of interviews. If you go to page 6, from around the doctors who were, willing to give their interviews about the situation in Libya and in Sirte itself. Now, Ibn Sina Hospital was closed. How these doctors mentioned it. Since March 2015, it was not really operating well. It was seized, and for the reason was that Daesh or the terrorists actually seized the hospital and was in control of the hospital. Now again, this is a major issue because the hospital was seized and no medication supplies were allowed to go to Ibn Sina Hospital since March 2016. We're talking about a year now. And this was because that the Ministry of Health was not in control of that, of the hospital itself. Now, we have emailed the UN, we have emailed namely Amiri, Mr. Amiri in the UN support mission in Libya. And the only thing that he says was that we can't do anything, we are not on the ground. The only thing that we could do is support the Ministry of Health, the health in Tripoli, and they were obliged, and they also send them information that they have sent stuff to Ibn Sina Hospital in Sirte. And this is untrue from the report, as you see from the doctors and the people who we have interviewed. Now, another obstacle, another situation was the children. The children have been in great danger. They have been mistreated, and they are not really given the attention. I think establishment of safe places, safe spaces for children, and seriously studying their situation is vital. Again, I think the problem of militias not being controlled had a very negative effect on the people, on the residents. And we had some of their stories, if you go to page 20, where some of the militias actually used a lot of the houses which the residents have evacuated because of the war, have evacuated. And the militias actually now are using these empty houses as a rest place or a basis for themselves. And this is a major concern again. The indiscriminate bombing in page 21, again we had a lot of indiscriminate bombing and firing, and one story was of a Sayah family who were bombed or indiscriminately bombed, and unfortunately a lot of members of the family, especially the 3 children, were hit and 2 were killed. Again, such stories happen every day and we don't hear about them. I think we're not really focusing on them. I think there is not a real solution. I think we're running away from them. It's either, again, that we are not understanding it, or either the residents are not really shouting louder to be heard. And this report, in this press conference today, is mainly to actually send a message that the people of Libya as a whole really need vital attention, serious attention now, and support that will stay long. Now, again, Sirte does not have any camps, and the only camps that we have seen were in Beni Walid, where we have seen the charity, As-Salam charity, where we have accompanied Haytham Al-Tajuli, the executive director, who have helped our representatives in Beni Walid and show them the camps. Now, I think they have prepared around 13 schools for the displaced people from Sirte, and until now they are suffering because there are a lot of shortages. These shortages mainly are on food, and if you go on to see what Haytham has been saying in this regard on the internally displaced people on page 15. On page 15 until, I think, up to until page 17. We went, again now, what we wanted was to actually create an operational strategy, an operational plan after this conference to really address the situation and start work. We call upon all of the organizations and everyone who really wants to help Libya to actually help us in this operation plan, which is not a fixed operation plan. Rather, we are ready to make any amendments to really address the situation, and any advice is to actually help and start supplying people, especially with the medicine needs. We have mentioned the essential non-food items, the health and hygiene, the water cleanness. For instance, the water cleanness, we have more than 200 wells in the outskirts of Sirte, and I think they need major attention. And such attention is like the hygiene of these wells and the necessary cleanness that should be there to be reused again. The shelter and settlements, again with Salam Charity in Beni Walid, they have addressed a number of important subjects and important matters that needs to be addressed. Now again, I think the UN itself and the governments, both governments, have not really gave any real help and real, on the ground. And this is to what actually Salam Charity are saying. I think the only convoys that have came are three, I think. One is from the World Food Organization, and one is from the World Health Organization. And I think what are we saying now is that it's not for a long term, it's not really a real operational plan. What we want to do is create an operational plan, and this could be actually again done by establishing a well-organized community or committee with the right workforce to actually provide this long health service to the residents in the outskirts of Sirte. I think I'll finish by finishing with the operational plan. Again, the overall challenges that we had were the lack of technical and logistic support to assist the operational management, and both it is both costly and time consuming, the recruitment of skilled staff and the training of volunteers. We also faced the lack of funding and financial difficulties, which led to the slowdown of the operation in Sirte, and we had less activities, and we were unable to actually fulfill the needs of the needy up there, nor able to actually supply goods that were needed for the residents. We lacked the long-term commitment by the volunteers, and time will also be necessary for the orientation and training of new volunteers to ensure the understanding and the adaptation to prepare and to know the system and accountability practices. We are focusing today on, we are actually facing the issues that we are facing today is to actually send goods to Libya. And I have mentioned this before, we cannot really get to supply the medicines to the aim destinations, and this again has been faced by the MSF and other aid organizations are facing the same shipping problem. We are currently studying the possibility of transporting the goods online from Tunisia with the help of internal and external organizations and communities. The operation plan hopefully will be again updated. We look to update the operation plan in the upcoming 6 months. Hopefully we'll have a more focused plan, a more ready plan, rather than this first operation plan that we have. And hopefully we'll have more organizations taking part with us, not just As-Salam, which are internal, but also external organizations like the Doctors Without Borders. And I think I'll finish on this and give the Sukan the mic again. Thank you for coming again and showing real solidarity for the people of Libya and CERT. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm going to open up, we've got a little bit of time for question and answers and contributions and comments. So if anyone would like to say anything, just indicate to me and I'll take you. I'm going to start actually, if you don't mind,
yes.
with something directed at you. Because I wanted to ask a question about the situation with water.
Yes.
So you said there's I read the report, so you said there's 200 wells
yes.
in and around CERT. Was the condition of drinking water before that water was available through the tap system, and that's been degraded, and now they've gone to wells? Well, what was the situation before and now?
Before, I think there was what was called before in CERT the man-made river, and I think this has been stopped until now. Has been stopped for I think since early 2014. Again, I think CERT does not really work with taps. I think it's not drinkable water. It's not the same facilities that we have here. But the wells now have not been used for a long time, and we have brought up the wells from 200 to 80 wells that can be reused again. And the conditions of the wells now, from the 200, only 80 can be reused. However, they need to be cleaned and given the necessary hygiene for them to actually be used again, and to find or to settle that problem with providing that solution, especially for water, as a necessary need for the residents.
Thanks for that. Anyone else would like to come in with a question or a comment? Yeah.
Thank you, Edgar. Samir from the UK Foreign Office. It's a really helpful report, and thank you, and I will share it with the rest of our team as well. You mentioned that the Sarraj's government, the Tripoli, isn't doing enough.
Yes.
Indeed, neither government is.
Yes.
I mean, why do you think that is? Is that primarily a capacity issue, or are they unaware of the extent of the problem? And then, as a follow-up question, is the real support needed from the Tripoli central government, or can the apparatus within CERT, so the municipal council or the CERT local council, can they be doing more?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just add into that question
yes.
as well? I mean, is there any actual council in CERT that's operational? Do civilians in CERT have any independent way of organising themselves? And
that would be actually a very easy answer, and that is basically a no. They do not have an elected council that they have agreed on. However, what Haytham from Islam charity have kindly done was bringing the displaced residents in Beni Walid and trying to advise them to actually find a representative for themselves. They are now finding, they have found the representatives for themselves, but that is only in Beni Walid and assisting the displaced residents. So they go around and they see what essentials they need, and they address difficult or address the situations of those internally displaced people. However, I think they do not have the power. Rather, they are not really in contact with neither governments, nor the West or the East. However, with the relocation of Sirte being on the Tripoli side, we felt that the Tripoli government with Sarraj will actually do more. However, now, when you said they are not doing more because they don't know the situation, if you actually could say your question again, I just lost it with the...
You mentioned, sorry, do you want to repeat?
Yes, is it primarily a capacity problem, i.e. they just have 101 problems to deal with, and
Yes.
and therefore they're not giving this the attention it deserves, or is it something else?
I think we can't really put a blame or anything on the government itself. However, we had no answers from them when we actually made them and contacted them. We had no answers. However, when we addressed the military camps in Al-Talatin, which I think is 30 kilometers from the city itself, Sirte, the doctors there have no real power, and the Red Crescent in Sirte did not really have that power to use the medications and to supply the residents and to assist them. What we had was that everything was controlled by the military, and what we understood that the government of Sarraj, or Tripoli government, did not have the full control on the forces that operated in Sirte. What we have said in the report itself, we were a bit concerned again that the government itself were using what we felt were militias and people who were very hard to control. And this was spoken widely and loudly by the residents. The residents themselves don't feel comfortable dealing with such groups. We mentioned this again. We mentioned this again in page 20, where we said that the government has used some of the groups to help them in their operation, which is to fight the terrorist groups in Sirte. However, I think the real focus now is to actually finish that operation and to really, if that makes sense, win in Sirte as the government in a political sense. What we felt is that the residents were not really given enough attention. Let me give you, for example, the roads. Now, the only road from Sirte to Beni Walid had been planted with landmines by Daesh or whoever, and the government again did not address this problem. And we had number of casualties, which we addressed I think somewhere in the report as well, on the unsafe roads. If you go to the report itself, I did mention in the report, we did mention it on the safe roads in page 18. I think the government did not really address it. This is another factor. And the fact that the armed forces in the area are not really attending the roads and removing the landmines really suggest that there are no protection, they're not really protecting civilians, and they're not really helping them or assisting them to evacuate the city. So no real operational plan, if I may stress again, to really see the situation in Sirte, to understand it. I think what the government is feeling, or how Libya itself now has seen too much casualties, that they do not really care anymore. And the fact that the internally displaced people have been sorted by private funding from the council in Beni Walid, and the health centers in the outskirts, when we actually went and visited through our representative Dr. Milad and our head general director Mr. Badar in the outskirts, the Jaref, for instance, Jaref Health Center was privately funded by the community itself, and we have seen with pictures, we have took pictures and we have shared it in the report as well, where we've seen them cleaning the health center by themselves. So actually it is a real problem that the government is not seeing the problem in Sirte. And I think the other problem is that the organizations, the aid organizations and the non-governmental organizations have evacuated and have went from Libya since 2014. And so when you're not really on the ground, it's very difficult to actually rely on not real evidence. But this report hopefully should help these organizations to actually understand the situation, the humanitarian situation, more and clearly, to really address it with real solutions to help protect the civilians of Sirte. Thank you.
Hi, Norman from Amnesty International. Thanks a lot for the great presentation and for the invite. My question is more just, what do we know about the approximate number of civilians still currently residing in Sirte? What is that number, and how are they affected by the violence that's currently taking place in the city? Are there indiscriminate attacks on civilians? Are there casualties? Because there's very little of that information being provided, I think.
We again did address this, and we mailed the people in charge of monitoring the human rights in the UN support mission. We have also addressed a number of other organizations during some of the events that have occurred. Now, for instance, we had the situation of kidnapping a lot of residents and looting a lot of their belongings, which Norman, if you also see the report itself, we have detailed a number of events that have occurred. I think the number of the people who are currently residing around Sirte, or the south, the outskirts of Sirte, could be around 21,000. Now, this number is not fixed because the residents tend to actually go to other cities, and then they change their mind, and then they come back again, and then they go again to, for instance, Beni Walid and Jufra, stay there for a couple of months, and then they come back again. So we have this transport activity that is happening. Again, we talk about the unsafe roads in between Sirte and other cities. The residents now are suffering a lot again from the militias that the government itself has sought help from. And such events was Misbah Sanusi, a young adult who was kidnapped by a militia in Wadi Jaref. When his relative actually reported this incident to the forces located in Al-Talatin, they actually told him that these militias are not in their control. So this is another problem, that the militias are not in real control of the forces that are currently operating in Sirte. And the residents are really suffering from unhumane activities like such as what happened to Misbah, the kidnapping, and also the looting of other properties, We shared the Ammar's story in Abu Ghraib, where his house was looted, and we also have pictured his house after the militias actually felt that they had the right to actually occupy his house and to carry out number of operations in the house. However, kindly, these armed groups evacuated the house after Ammar asked them to do so. Such stories and such events happen every day, and I think they need to really see through them and to actually really address them and put them to the spotlight, and to say to the governments and the people in charge that we are actually monitoring the steps and monitoring what is happening. Because until now, I think there is no real operation by all organizations. And I do stress again that yes, there is some convoys that have reached to Bani Walid to address some of the needs in Bani Walid for the internally displaced people there. However, again, when you go to some of the military camps, and they are called the military medical camps, when we actually phoned, for instance, Dr. Al-Madani in Al-Talatin, he says that we do not have the authority. The area has been said to be as a war zone. So the Red Crescent do not have that power to address anything. They have to move with the permission of the forces which are located in around Sirte. Another thing is that I think from where you said, the residents do not understand that there are other organizations up there that they could see and ask for help from. And I think this is another major issue where when we actually call for information from the residents, a lot of them fear to actually give names, a lot of them fear to actually even speak to us. However, the doctors in the report felt it was a duty of theirs, so they kindly actually have provided their names and their interviews and their information on the city. And I think around that.
Or Bari in the south or other cities in terms of medical shortages and human rights issues and things like that. What makes Sirte so special, or let's say a special case or a different case for alrassed?
Before you come back on that, is there anyone else who'd like to ask anything or make a comment? Because I think we're going to close quite soon. So we'll take anyone else who'd like to say anything. So Abdul Basit, if you don't mind addressing that, and also in terms of closing the meeting and going forward in terms of any comments.
Okay, thank you. I stress that writing the report in detail on Sirte does not mean that we are not really reporting other human rights violations in Libya or other MENA region. However, reporting in detail on Sirte allows us to include all human rights violations and events and other matters into account. It also allows us to put specific recommended actions and produce procedures actually to deal with the current situation. I think again reporting on Sirte will allow us until now, and you have to understand that Sirte is not just the city. Rather, when we reported on Sirte, we reported on what is called the central region of Libya. So there is the east and there is the west, and there is the central region, the entire central region, which is a very big area that has not really been addressed for a long time, And we felt obliged, now I'll tell you again, we felt obliged to do more for the people of the city, and therefore we started this report on June 2016. The amount of documentations and information that we possess on the city was a major motive for this report. And just to close, I think again I would like to thank you for making it today here and showing your support and solidarity for Libya first and to CERT itself. And I want to say that we can do more. Leaving the city convicted by extremists and seeing youngsters being flogged and children forced off their schools and colleges being colleges being armed, children being armed, with extremists is inhumane and is a war crime and is unacceptable. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I would
Dr. Samawi, please to say.
Yeah, I would like to add,
Yes.
I know you already done the report
Yes.
and done with.
Yes.
I'm going to handle the 12 items, the 12 items. You can maybe put it later on as additional to your report,
Yes.
which you can help the people in Libya, in CERT or Tripoli or Benghazi or anywhere in Libya
Yes.
with it, because this is what I believe is going to help you a lot with the cases, health issue cases, like for pregnancy, for children, for the elderly, to feed the children, besides your medicine. I'm
Yes.
going to handle, which already it is on my website, is for Iraqis.
Hopefully we'll have a meeting afterwards and we'll really draw other plans to actually address the situation from any side that will actually help. Will be welcomed. And I don't want to make it look like we are here as the only and the exclusive organization that you should be addressing to go to Libya. I think if you actually just searched a little more, I think the people of there will be willing to help. Like the doctors the number of doctors who we mentioned in the report, who were willing to operate in the medical centers as soon as they were equipped with the medicine. So the holistic medications will be an essential factor again among the medications that we have listed here by the doctors themselves. I would like to also say, in regards of the operational plan, that it's still in the start of the operational plan, and we do welcome such suggestions like yours to actually amend the operational plan and to really have a plan that will really seek to actually find that resolution, that solution for the people. And again, we need to stress a long-term resolution, something that will continue again and again, because I think the situation is yes, it's extending and it's getting difficult and worse every time. Thank you.
Thanks. So thanks, Mr. Viga. Thank you, Dr. Samawi. And obviously, lots of people in the world know about CERT, which they may have not known before, not for any good reason, because of the Daesh occupation there and the fallout from that. But we hope from alrassed International that not only would there be a focus on the conflict and the trauma that's impacting the people of CERT that's been reported in the media, but that people, and especially regional and international organizations, come to the support and the assistance of the plight of the people of CERT. So with that, thank you colleagues, thank you friends for attending today, and please do stay in touch with alrassed International. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
مش ناخذ صورة جماعية في صور راح ياخذ صور ثابتة بهذا
So let's refresh team colleagues.
عبد الباسط خلينا ناخذ صور جماعية
Oh yeah.
خلينا ناخذ صور جماعية
Yeah.